What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS podcast and live stream recording here for Monday's 4-game main slate. James, 4 games on a Monday. One of the smaller Monday slates I feel like we've had in quite some time. But even though it is a small slate, it's not a bad one in terms of matchups that we have on the board here. Only a couple of really high-priced guys, and we see some players, because it is a smaller slate, also priced down a little bit. DraftKings trying to make it easier to build some of your lineups here. And when we come across these sort of slates and the way the games are and matchups are being played out, roster construction, there's going to be some high ownership on a few different guys here. But you're going to see a lot of different builds, I feel like, because you're going to be getting a lot of fair and balanced type lineups, and you're not having to deal and jam in a Jokic or a Luka or a Giannis and whatnot here.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a nice change because sometimes you don't want to pay $12K for a guy, and you just kind of have to. But this should lead to some fun roster construction. John, we're gonna know that we have $1 million in our bank account by 10 p.m.
Right. 8 o'clock last game.
8 o'clock is the final game of the slate. Lots of goodness. Usually a 4-game slate, lots of interesting things could happen, but really like the slate. 235 game total tops the slate in Detroit, Charlotte. 6-point favorites are Charlotte at home. This just speaks to how bad Detroit is that Charlotte is a 6-point favorite against anybody. 217 is the slate low in Philly, Miami. Philly giving 6 to Miami. Jimmy Butler not happy with the Heat. His post-game press conference said, "We need to win and we need to figure the F out now." Well, good luck because you're going to Philly now. That's not a place to figure it out after maybe one of the games of the year after that Boston.
Was that not
Philly
wild?
Game.
I watched that game. Saw Tatum get to 3, and then Embiid just football throws, a 3/4 court swish.
He's done that a few times where he's made it after the buzzer, literally a few times. I remember, and that's why he was calling for the ball. He's like, "Yo, I've done this. I do this." I think the best part of that was Tatum not watching it, because you see Tatum just walking off and then turning around wait, did that just happen? And it's obviously he didn't know it didn't count, but wild. Speaking of Boston, they're on the slate. They are 2-point favorites in New York. No Jaylen Brown in that game. 223 total. And then the quote late night hammer here, John. 8 o'clock. Really have to stay up late to figure out lineups in this game. 226.5. The Orlando Magic only 4-point dogs in New Orleans.
Yeah, what happened to New Orleans here, man? That team Zion's not there, so they got nothing to go. What's
I don't know. I think it's a little respect towards Orlando. They've been playing better basketball, but definitely New Orleans, falling off a cliff. Loses of 3 straight, 4 and 6 over the last 10. But it's interesting. New Orleans 20 and 10 at home. Orlando 10 and 20 on the road. Yet only this little spread, 4 points. It's very interesting to see where.
Yeah, listen, Orlando's definitely a young team on the come up. So, but they're a young team. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's get into it. This will be a quicker podcast. Obviously, just 4 games. We'll start at the point guard spot where LaMelo Ball is $10,300. Got a big price decrease the other day after going for 60 in 3 straight games down to 10-4. Obviously, tough spot against Miami. I faded him in my playbook. I wrote up the Saturday playbook, and I was like, listen, this is just not a spot where guards generally pay off their price. 47 fantasy points, not enough for him. He's 10-3 now at home against Detroit. This should be your top play today. I mean, I know Embiid and Tatum are going to get a lot of love, but you're looking at triple-double play here for LaMelo Ball lately. Going up against Detroit, he's averaging 50 fantasy points against them as it is in 2 games here. I mean, I don't know. It's him or Tatum for me, I think, as my top play.
I mean, I don't care. any which way you want to go. Like Embiid, I mean, you can't really deny what he's doing. And I know, like, oh, it's Miami, but like, oh, it's been Memphis, and oh, it's been Boston. He's gone for 74 and 69 fantasy points. Like it's, um, and I kind of figured Embiid would do that coming out of the break. Like this is it. We've talked about it in terms of legacies. Like he needs the biggest. Like he's one of the biggest legacy in need of a legacy season out there.
Yeah.
And I think the second half
he'll probably be contrarian if you're looking at game totals. You said 217 slate low against Miami teams. Against centers this year, number one team in terms of the defense against the center position. And then you're looking at the game high total in Detroit, Charlotte with LaMelo. So I think LaMelo is your chalk. I think you'll see Embiid as your contrarian play and Tatum somewhere in the middle. So
I agree fully with that. I'm just saying, like, I have no problem getting to any of the three, and that obviously includes LaMelo in the best game environment available.
Right. Below LaMelo Ball, you have James Harden at $9,800. He's been playing really well. 45 fantasy points against Boston, 57 against Memphis the game before that, 47-55. We were worried when Maxey came back, but then what they decided to do was change up their rotations, and and Harden has been able to thrive now in that situation. So can you get to Harden at 10K here against Miami? Probably not a spot I'm looking to go, but if you're multi-lineuping, like, sure, he's certainly a guy you can probably build some lineups around. Brunson's at $8,500 here against Boston. Again, we just saw Harden have success here, but Boston historically really good against guards, and that's a big price drop. So I mean, like, where are we looking after we get past these top guards? Which ones are on your player pool, in your player pool?
I mean, I'm all in on Tyler Hero. If Kyle Lowry remains out, Lowry listed questionable. Hero's been really good. I still think under 8K is too cheap.
He tweeted about him being like, "Can you please wake up?" And then he woke up.
And then he woke the F up. Yes. Thank you, Tyler Hero, for reading my tweet. McCollum in tournaments is interesting because Orlando is still like bottom of the barrel in terms of defense. Like it should be a good spot for McCollum. Markelle Fultz on the flip side of this matchup continues to be pretty steady. Like you don't want 28 fantasy points to 6,200, but that doesn't kill your lineup. And we've seen 34, 39, 47.
He did all of that in the fourth quarter, by the way, because I played his over fantasy point prop of 30.5. It was upsetting to see. He had like 8 fantasy points for 3 quarters, and then he just went nutty in the fourth quarter of that game. Yes, and look at his little blurb here. He turned things around in the second half, 6 of 10 from the field for 14 points. Just the 3 assists, obviously a little disappointing, but he definitely got going. I'm fine running it back with Fultz because the minutes have been there.
Yeah, perfectly fine going there. Jaden Ivey being out, I think, is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest piece of news. Well, second biggest piece of news behind Jaylen Brown. Behind Jaylen Brown being out.
Right.
Because that just opens the door more for Killian Hayes. I know Killian Hayes, look, the guy is very bad shooting the basketball. And he is very bad.
1 of 11, 1 of 10, 3 of 10, 4 of 10, 1 of 6.
He's shooting 37% from the floor this year. Like, there's been no improvement there. The only difference is they're letting him play.
Yeah.
And he does have the games where he makes shots, and when he does make shots, like, he has 40 fantasy point upside. So
I mean, against Boston, right? 10 points, 9 assists, 2 steals. Like, you live with that at 4,700. 30.
Yeah, you live with that, and he's gonna play 30 minutes here without Jaden Ivey. Like, it's not even just Jaden Ivey. Like, we know Cade Cunningham's out.
Yeah.
Jalen Duran's out. Bojan Bogdanovic is questionable. Like, there's so many question marks in Detroit.
Stewart is also questionable.
Questionable. Like, they're just gonna play this guy for 30.
It's gonna lead us to actually some other favorable value plays on this slate. Not to skip ahead, but like Diallo and Burks, 36 and 3,500 each.
Yep.
I don't know if Ivy played yesterday or not. Let's see. Where's Jaden Ivey? Now I can't.
He did. He played on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, so they didn't have a game. So he played Saturday. They brought in RJ Hampton. and he hasn't. They said he hasn't practiced yet with the team.
He played 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, but he is at least going to be available. Probably their backup point guard in this game, right? With Hayes and Ivy are both being active in that game. You got to think R.J. Hampton's probably the backup point guard.
Yeah, I assume that.
Yeah. I don't know what he's going to play for minutes, but I mean, like, you know, he's going to be. He could be out there for them. But I think for us, it's going to really be the shooting guards. It's going to be Diallo and Burks is probably where we're going to look with Ivy out, because that's where Ivy's been playing. He's been playing the two. So
yeah, like they also have Corey Joseph too. So
True.
like who knows what this team's going to do. I don't want anything
Joseph
to do.
Was back. He missed a period of time there.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with like that, like those guys.
No.
But Hayes 46, and then the guys that you mentioned at the other guard positions, I think,
$35 and $3,600 for Diallo and especially if Bojan is out too. Like that team is just gonna
have to play.
It's gonna need bodies. So all right, any other value guards for you here?
Yeah, I mean Jalen Suggs continues to play more than Cole Anthony. So,
but what day? What day is he gonna come through for us? He continued his trend of good, bad, good, bad. So,
so we're getting it bad today. Got it. Tournaments. I mean, it's just a tournament play. 4K, pretty good spot. I think you can get there. I just consider. I mean, Cole Anthony's dead. Like they don't play. Like he's not
here. Well, here's the thing with Cole Anthony. We talk about this all the time. Very high usage player.
Very high usage, but I'm just in terms of minutes. In terms of minutes, 17, 18 minutes.
He had 41 fantasy points in 24 minutes against Denver. Right? Like 23 fantasy points in 17 minutes against the Pacers, 27 and 18 minutes against Detroit, 23 and 20 minutes against Miami. The guy gets on the floor and produces. So he funny enough, he's actually safer in fewer minutes than Jalen Suggs has been in more minutes.
Yeah, safer, yes. Safer, yes, for sure.
Right? Like, there's more 20-plus fantasy point games and under 20 minutes for Cole Anthony than we have Jalen Suggs in 30 minutes.
Oh, what a nightmare.
I might still just roll out Cole Anthony, honestly. But
what are your thoughts on...
I understand going Suggs. I think both are probably, on a smaller slate, I think both are in play.
Yeah, both are in the player pool, I think. What are your thoughts on Dennis Smith Jr. just continuously playing 26-plus minutes? Even with everyone back. He played 28 minutes against Miami and 26 minutes against Minnesota the night before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Detroit's a really good match. Like, any thought on Dennis Smith Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, if he hits a couple more shots, but look, his shots are capped, right? Like, you know, so like if he can go 5 for 8 one day, like you're in business here. You know, like he did against Miami, 5 of 7.
Yeah.
15, 2, 3 steals. You know the steals are going to be good there. I mean, it's a matchup you can certainly play, but I don't know if it's my favorite spot. I mean, Quickly is 5K. I'd probably rather play Quickly there than Smith at 47.
Yeah, probably.
Let's see. What did Oladipo play the other day? Just 21 minutes and 0 fantasy points? Yikes. 0.5.
0 fantasy points,
0.5, yeah.
That's a good outing.
That's probably it for me here. Let's go to shooting guard here. You mentioned Hero already. I don't want to pay Rozier or Oubre price right now.
I mean, I don't hate Rozier price.
I don't know.
The price, he's just, dude, look, 3 for 15, 2 for 10. Like, 2 terrible shooting nights.
Yeah, but my problem is that it's only 15 and 10. It's not 19 and 20. I think Oubre coming back. Hayward's been taking over. You know, the counting stats are obviously down in that game against Miami as well. Listen, we always say it. Really tough matchup for guards, Miami. Doesn't matter who Miami has on the floor. They're just really good they're just really good defensively in general.
Yep.
But the fact that LaMelo Ball is playing the way LaMelo Ball is playing right now, and Hayward is healthy and looking better than he has in a little bit, like it just...
He has.
I just worry that with Rozier here. Again, if you want to... It's Detroit. If you want to take it on a small slate tournament play for GVP is fine. He took 8 threes. If he hits a couple more of those, you know, his numbers obviously look a lot better, but you need more than 0 rebounds. You need more than 2 assists.
I agree. Undeniable good spot.
Yeah.
For him to...
I'll agree with you. I never get Franz Wagner correct.
Never, ever.
Literally ever. Never, ever. I played him against Toronto. 0 rebounds. like what? I mean, listen, maybe that was my own fault because Toronto obviously is a tough spot generally, but like, I think Cole Anthony wasn't active for that. Like, there was a lot of good things trending for Franz. This was the game where he had 3 shot attempts for 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, he took like 4, made 1. Like, I don't... Cash games probably, I guess. But, you know, I don't ever get that guy right. Richardson...
everyone's going to play Richardson.
Yeah, you play Richardson. Yeah. He's been starting. He's been great. 5,400.
He's been really popular every slate because he's starting.
He deserves to be. He's been good. Knicks aren't consistent enough with Josh Hart, it feels like, yet.
I mean, you can play him. It's like the same thing quickly, right? I think they're in the same. They both going to play 24 to 28 minutes. Yeah. So you could
quickly the more consistently higher ceiling, but we know what Josh Hart can give you.
Yep.
On certain days there, but then it goes down to the value. You have Diallo and Burks down here. You know, Burks 17, 19 minutes. His minutes are certainly starting to tail off as we get to the second half of this year, which would make sense if you were Detroit, right? Like, play some of the other guys here. But, you know, the fact that they could be down Bojan and they're already down Ivy, one of these 2 guys are going to get a minutes bump. We, again, talk a ton about Hamidou Diallo and his point per minute boom potential here. You know, 31 fantasy points in 22 minutes against Toronto. Double-digit shot attempts in back-to-back games. I'm fine. One of them probably, would you think, starts today for Ivy?
Yeah, unless they do like a Joseph Hayes lineup, which would be awful. But I mean, Alec Burks had been starting a lot, so my money would be Alec Burks starting, but that's also because they hate Hamidou Diallo. So
for whatever reason.
we just
can't. They don't
have
Bay anymore. Who plays their wings here? Isaiah Livers, I guess.
Livers, and it's gonna Livers for sure.
Yeah, Livers played 29 minutes. He played 29 minutes. $3,200. Dude, it's so free.
They'll give him a bunch of minutes.
So Detroit value, I think, is all going to be in play today.
Yeah, Detroit value, probably the chalk value of the slate.
Actually, I think Detroit's entire starting lineup is under 4K today. So where is Wiseman? Wiseman's 37. Yeah, their entire starting lineup today is going to be under 5K because Hayes is 46, and then everybody else is under 4K.
That's so funny.
That's where we're at on 4 games here. All right, small forward JT is at 10-2. Again, no Jaylen Brown in Madison Square Garden. We talk about this one all the time. Stars in Madison Square Garden. Could certainly have a 60, 70 fantasy point game here for Jason Tatum at 10-2. So, like I said, I think he falls in the middle of Embiid and LaMelo today. You may be able to play them both if you just stack Detroit. I mean,
no, right? You can. You can play two of the top 3 for sure with stacking Detroit. No doubt.
Just for gigs here. Let's see. $3,700 a player if you play all 3. You throw in Diallo, Burks, Wiseman. You probably end up filling out your lineup playing all 3 of those guys there. So
and Livers. There's Bagley who went crazy the other day.
Oh, I forgot Bagley's back. Yeah.
Yeah, he went nuts too the other day.
Bagley at $4,500. Yeah. 28 minutes in his return game. 28 minutes in his return game. 21 and 18. Yeah, so all center only though for Bagley. So you got to pick Wiseman or
it's brutal.
Or Bagley there. All right. Anyway, so JT for sure. Butler small forward only now because Kevin Love exists. $9,200 or $8,800 here against Philly. A little revenge game. He was kind of pissed about being traded from Philly, wasn't he? Something like there was some.
No, he wanted out.
He wanted out. Okay.
There was
something there with him.
He also wants to win. So
Love up to 5,400 by the way, which makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I think that he's going to. I think Butler's gonna show up. Okay. He after those post game press conference remarks where he's like, "We need to win now." I think he's gonna be contrarian. I don't think you need to get there. 8,800 is steep, but I think he's gonna show up big time.
Okay. Ingram's up to 8K. Tough game against the Knicks. 7 of 22 shooting though, and love the shot attempts. 14, 21, 27, 22. last 4 games for him. I think you could, again, you talk contrarian, probably nobody pays the 8K, but I think you can get there against Orlando.
Yep.
Let's see. Paolo's at 71. It's been a bit since he's paid that price off. Hayward, though, 6K, the way we've been talking about him, right?
Yeah, he's been great.
We called the Minnesota game, by the way. Those of you who watched the podcast on Friday,
dude, it's just
we joked about it, but we were also it's real. For whatever reason, he goes into Minnesota and just likes the water there. I gets a good night's sleep in Minnesota. I don't know what it is, but 27, 13, and 5.
Would you play Bojan if he plays?
Yeah.
Because there's no Ivy, he has a 31% usage rate without Ivy and Cade this year.
Missed all his shots against Orlando. Really tough game against Toronto. Went 5 of 12. He was crazy the 3 games prior. So I don't mind playing him if he's there. Hayward, as we talked about, you mentioned RJ Barrett just not always having the upside given who's on that lineup. He went good against the Pelicans, but he sucked against Washington. I said on Washington I liked the 5,700. Didn't really do anything. Bounced back against the Pelicans. So this could maybe just be the ebb and flow right now with RJ Barrett. So
yeah, they just have a lot of wings now. Thibodeau has a lot of options, and they're all playing 24 to 31 minutes, right? Yeah. It's whoever's hot that night's going to play the time.
Yep. Sam Hauser, do we think he plays for JB today, or do they start Brogdon or White?
I'm not gonna go.
Okay. We didn't talk about Brogdon or White, but one of them likely gets a bump without JB. So
yeah, it's been Brogdon, right? Lately, hasn't Brogdon?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was Brogdon.
It was Brogdon, and then Derek White stays hot. So one of those two will start. If nothing else, it probably gives them each a little bit of bump in minute potential.
Good luck figuring out who's going to play the minutes.
Right.
Good freaking luck.
Let's see here. There's really nothing else for value at small forward.
No, I don't think. We mentioned it's Isaiah Livers. If he's starting, if Bojan's out, I would play Livers 3,200.
Sure,
but that's about it.
All right. Power forward here, Randall 9,300. We talked about that. Randall $9,300. Really great games. Washington went off for 46 actual. Couldn't do anything else for us until 2 rebounds. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I saw a fancy tweet about it. 2 rebounds. What are we doing?
Yeah, and then bounce right back the next night. Little revenge game against the Pelicans, goes for 45. Again, in theory, this is kind of a tough spot for most front courts, but Randall's just been playing really good basketball here. Are you worried at all about going up against Horford and Rob Williams here?
Not really. It's a great price. More importantly, the New Orleans game was a blowout too. He could have easily played 38 minutes and had 55 fantasy points. Randall looks really good right now offensively. And I love the price. He's been 10K for months. And, he was 10K dating back to, December. The last day of December. The last day of 22. I'm perfectly fine getting to Randall here. I think the price point is indicative of it. And he's been, Jalen Brunson's taken, a big step back, and Randall hasn't. And so has Barrett, and Randall hasn't. So, I'm perfectly fine getting to Randall at 93. Another no one gets to. No one's going to get to Randall at 9,300.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Then a bunch of questionable plays here. Doubtful, PJ Washington. We talked about Bojan. We like Hayward. Kevin Love, 5,400. I'll keep playing Kevin Love as long as he's starting and in the lineup. Don't really care for Tobias. Stewart's questionable. Horford, Herbie Jones. Wiseman has power forward center eligible, so that's interesting.
That's nice. You could play him and Bagley if you wanted to.
Yep. So I guess we would go right down to Wiseman then here. And Livers, as you mentioned, but there's not much else down here.
Horford's been pretty good lately. I would play Horford, 20-plus fantasy points in 4 straight, 27 or more in 3 of 4, under 5K. No JB, so that could benefit him. No JB. I would rather play Grant Williams than Sam Hauser, I think. Especially he's cheaper
Yeah.
than Sam Hauser. Again, it's just like so hard to figure out what Missoula is going to do because like one night it's Brogdon playing 40 and Grant Williams doesn't even play, and then the next night Brogdon plays 20 minutes and Grant plays 30. Like what are like it's so hard.
This feels like a day they go with a little bit of a bigger lineup because Mitch, Rob, and Randall are going to be on the floor.
Yep, agreed. So I mean, so do you think that takes Grant off the floor, or do you think?
No, I don't think it necessarily kicks him off of the floor. I think he'll probably be in the rotation, but there was that game against Milwaukee. Robert Williams played just 13 minutes, and then he played 26 and 31. Feels like they'll keep him on the floor here in this game to match up with Mitch Rob. So, how much? I mean, you mentioned he played 30. Grant played 29 minutes in that game, so
right
against Philly. So it could be a spot where they bring him out there for size for sure.
It's a pivot off like Wiseman because like.
Yeah,
that's the GOAT eligibility. Power forward, center, like Wiseman. You can use Wiseman in so many different spots.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I agree. All right, finish at the center spot here. You have JoJo. We talked about 11. Bam goes up against him. I'm not sure how you feel about that matchup for.
Bam's been underwhelming.
Yeah, 8,600. Wendell Carter, you and I were all in on him, and he goes.
Dude,
he had 11 boards in 18 minutes.
What a absolute nightmare. 3 fouls in 5 minutes in the first quarter. And then he came out in the second half and was chucking because he didn't play at all in the second quarter.
Yep. So, I think you can get there potentially.
Nightmare.
Let's see here. Wendell Carter. We talked about Mark Williams. Will be in there. 18 and 20, 29 minutes against Miami.
Yeah.
Just let the boy play. Why did he only play 17 minutes against Minnesota? Like what happened there?
Yeah. No answers, Sway.
No answers. Mitchell Robinson played 28 minutes there, back-to-back games now, double-doubles in both games. I don't think he's going to get in too much foul trouble in this one. Like Rob Williams, Al Horford aren't going to be banging around in the paint. My only worry would be like a driving Tatum potentially. Yep. But I think this should be a relatively safe game foul-wise for Mitch Rob. Rob Williams on the flip side, I think it should be okay. Not my favorite spot, but then you mentioned you have Bagley here. Bojan's out, Stewart's out, Duran's out. Like he's going to be on the floor, and he's always been a super high usage guy. He misses over a month and comes back and takes 19 shots. I mean, we got to be in on Bagley.
Yeah. It's a nice front court matchup. The only thing we have to worry about is foul trouble with Bagley. Like he gets in a lot of foul trouble. So if he can stay out of foul trouble, it's weird too. Like he gets in early foul trouble and then like generally stays out of foul trouble the rest of the game. So we just need to avoid the too early fouls. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting tier overall. Like sub 6K, like paying 6K for Mark Williams is tough, but then you think about it, it's like, Jonas Valanciunas, by the way, playing 30-plus minutes a game.
Yeah, Nance has been out. Right?
Is Nance still out? Nance is out.
Nance is out again, yeah.
I would throw Joval into that tournament.
Why? But so like 9, 8, and 11 shot attempts. Like where's the Valanciunas that was going for 50 earlier this year? Like why are they shying away from Valanciunas offensively now is my question. So,
I don't know.
And does Wendell Carter stretching the floor at all risk him coming off the floor for anybody?
No, I mean Hernan Gomez is not is the same not fleet of foot guy.
Okay. I mean, listen, we love J-Val when he's out there, so I just want to see more. I want to see more volume, for him to pop at 60 to pay off $6,400. Like,
yeah,
the double doubles are great, but no blocks. He does not give you any defensive stats. Rarely does he give you more than 2 assists. So, like, if he's not going 18 and 15 or something like that, it's just, which he can do. We've seen it. Like, we've seen big games out of him this year.
He has 20 and 10 against the Magic earlier this year.
Yep.
Just a dart. Just a dart.
Again, it's a 4-game slate, so you got to get a little different. So, all right, let's build our lineup here. We're plugging LaMelo. Are we playing double studs with Tatum or Embiid?
Yeah, we could do Tatum.
Okay. And then center spot. Where are we going?
Probably Bagley. Probably.
Okay. Bagley.
Right? I mean, he's
gonna play. He's gonna play no matter what, right?
Jay Rich at shooting guard, 54.
Who's our cheapy Detroit guy?
I mean, whoever starts between Diallo and Burks. So probably like play one of them at the guard spot or shooting guard, and you can pivot to whichever.
Okay.
Play Diallo, and then if Burks starts, you guys listening know that we're pivoting to Burks or whatever.
Sure. Diallo's in the guard spot there then. We got another value. Wiseman, right?
Yeah, Wiseman
at the
power forward.
Yeah, just a regular forward spot. I mean, yeah, I could do because Tatum can go small forward. So Tatum small forward. All right, $6,100 for a forward and a util. I think we had another. Didn't we have another value we liked? Mark Williams, right?
Yeah, he's 59. That's fine.
And that'll be our util. So we have a forward spot for 64. Hayward.
Yeah, Hayward's good. That's a 3-man Charlotte stack.
We're game stacking the top game of the day. So
that's
fine.
Can't really hate on that.
No. All right. So LaMelo, Richardson, Tatum, Wiseman, Bagley, Diallo, Hayward, Williams. Of course, any lineup news that comes out can obviously change these things for you. Ryan Kirksey has your playbook. James and I will be in the Discord. If you have any questions, find us there. Good luck. Let's have a good week. We'll talk to you guys later.